When browsing through the included booklet for Mask of Light, it's a look back on the releases in the year of 2003. Digital, paperback, plastic, adverts for Legoland, and additional products. Saving the best for last, a sneak peek of the year to come. A taste of 2004 on the horizon. Our new Toa of Fire and confirmation for the second Bionicle movie. A retroactive era new to the fanbase. An origin story of urban magnitude. I'm here to commemorate, to reflect on my favorite setting within Bionicle. You are hereby initiated into Rated Exploited. I prioritized renting the DVD and received a personal copy for Christmas. I've always loved the exterior box, displaying the details of Metru Nui, according to geography and Toa element. I've retained the insert with product details from 2004, prominently displaying the larger sets, attire, and the Metru Nui City of Legends guide, and a sneak peek at Web of Shadows. I don't recall ever seeing these Kanoka frames replicated elsewhere. I also forgot about this Kanoka code, exclusively displayed within the booklet. Metru Nui remains my #1 setting within Bionicle. The original idea of Protodermis as the main resource, and integrated throughout the Metru. Ko-Metru focuses on astronomy. Ta-Metru is foraging and crafting. Academics for God-Metru. Li-Metru, transportation, including the chutes themselves. Archiving and history, designated in Onu-Metru. Finally Po-Metru, devoted to construct and carving. The film maintains a close-knit cast between hero and villain. While the Toa are the stars and the villains just being themselves, there are a few interactions outside of the main cast. The Vaki serve their role as foot soldiers. I especially love Kikanalo. They are not only an integral part, but highly intelligent Rahi and genuine support characters. They even initiate the activation of Nokama's Great Rao. While Mask of Light had a very limited amount of humor, as does the majority of Bionicle, Kreka, and especially Matau, incorporate humor within the runtime. A jester he is, but a loyal brethren, backing up his reliable role. I also chose him as my Toa of Air for my fantasy Toa team. That link is directly below. Nokama is the impossible-to-hate character. Although she knew little of Akama, she proved an empathetic figure. She earns her place on the box art. Wenua takes action when digging to the surface to locate the Matoran capsules. Nuju enacts through the Metru Nui Explorer, analyzing the inhabitants and rolls from his observatory, overlooking the distinction between the regions. Anoa, while resistive and showing intolerance, proves an invaluable brethren, displaying his might by destroying Makuta's Protodermis pillar, and psychokinetically forcing Kreka onto Nidiki. A prominent aspect I herald as a defining moment for Legends of Metru Nui, the score, by none other than Nathan First. We open with the theme of Mask of Light. Plus, this orchestral style is a contrast to the urban industrial setting of Metru Nui. My favorite is Toa Lacan's theme. It's the track I associate with the film, prominently utilized for involving the Toa, encapsulating the movie revolving around him, passing the torch to the Toa Metru, used within the menu, escaping with the Toa Stones, sighting the Spirit Star overhead, his revelation as a Turaga, and ultimately, his sacrifice for Vakama. The new Toa Metru also have their own theme, implemented when they receive the power from Likan, jumping on the transport of Matoran capsules. Upon Nokama discovering her Kanohi's power involving the Kikanalo, and once Vakama realizes time is the force desired by Makuta, we hear this familiar tune again. Even in the finale, when the Great Spirit proclaims they are Toa, this theme prominently plays to accompany. In regards to analyzing the visuals of the film, a perfect design choice and alteration from the figures is the contrasting armor of the Toa Metru. While the action figures are solid, each film model has a personalized contrasting color. I also went over this in my best Bionicle Trilogy transitions, looking at the best changes between toy and the eventual film. That link is also below. Despite the film only being 1 hour and 15 minutes, it solidifies the urban setting of Metru Nui. It's reminiscent and extremely consistent with the official designs displayed through the website and LEGO magazines. It's a big improvement over Mask of Light. My favorite is the attention to the protodermis shoots, reclaiming the memory they are protodermis held together by magnetism, and will potentially explode, as detailed by Kongu. As a graphic designer, I found another improvement over Mask of Light. The scenes of Kokoro feature what is expected in an Arctic environment, but in Metru, the Toa are featured with breath in the cold. Before this point, I had never thought of them as homeothermic. Legends of Metru Nui prominently features the biggest color palette. This is a decision by the directors, taking initiative by achieving a larger scale than Mask of Light. Let's take in and observe the liminal aspect of Metru Nui, on display when venturing through Metru, but the sense of liminality is also achieved within the DVD menu. The abandoning sense reigns throughout. The Toa observe and question the Matoran disappearance, but I've always had this sense of dread watching the movie. I know Makuta is behind the entirety, but the hopeless isolation feels like an evil the Toa cannot rival. Matoran are stolen away, an eerie silence transitioning from the once lively sectors. The animated atmosphere has always felt like a foreign memory. I know what I'm looking at is from the past. With no life amongst these urban clips and shots, I develop a sense of loss, a remnant of a life once cherished. In this example, the emptied isolation empowers the sense of the unknown. When the Vizirax spread their webs across the city, the reveal builds up from the moment the Toa are paralyzed. But when I flip through the guide of Metru Nui, take the individual renders throughout the 6 regions, I get a sense of a corroding world beyond maintenance. As Makuta sought the force of time, the future proves beyond control and acceptance. I feel the dynamic of time alters faster than acceptance, the acceptance of having no control, leading into grief. Here, I truly get the sense of the Toa abandoning the one home they knew. Lacan's theme also reflects loss to the point it embodies a memento, passing his legacy in a melodic eulogy. The doubts and fears of Vakama empower the dynamic of his progression, feeling the guilt and the mistaken identity as Lacan dubbed him Toa of Fire. He truly is an underdog who no one could foresee, but Metru Nui knew. Feeling alone and unworthy, it's his fellow Toa who bring his capability into reality. A striking moment is enacted in the final scene against Makuta, questioning in disbelief that Vakama defeated him alone. Enter the team, declared by Nokama that he is not alone. My childhood interpretation is that Vakama took on Makuta himself. Here, my analytical side proves a new, incubated outlook. Have you ever played Majora's Mask? Perhaps you haven't yet caught on to the observational comparison between this game and movie. Think about playing through the southern swamp, encapsulating in the resurgence of the Woodfall Temple, rescuing my cow before laying him to rest, performing reconnaissance within the Gerudo hideout for saving the eggs from the giant sea snakes, culminating in the sea turtle access to the Great Bay Temple. Now, converge the comparison. Look at the journey of protagonist to antagonist, appointed by the impersonator, unknowingly serving the side of evil. Beginning in Metru, Vakama began as a fearful Matoran, but Toa Lacan sets the spark within him. The pressure of being the lead kindles upon transformation. The Toa individually learn their mass powers. Turaga Lacan extends his guidance, each honing their skills in the fight of the enemy they have yet to encounter. The journey to temple and power is where the significance lies. Vakama is the cross-wired freak none would accept or expect to be a Toa. By the power of influence and team, his role solidifies. He began as a doubtful mask maker, concluding into a powerful lead. I could not interpret this 20 years ago. Only by grateful appreciation do I reach this analysis. This is an example of where the journey and conclusion equate in equal magnitude. Why? To prepare and empower the discipline required when confronting Makuta. 2 years before my granted wish, Jala becomes the recipient of Toa Lakan's Hau. Matoran into Toa, Toa into Turaga, Turaga into Legend. Here, Vakama is the transitional mediator, the key between past triumph and future legend. 2004 is a cherished memory, one I fondly recall, coinciding with the Turaga looking back on their city, reflecting on the 7 legends I associate with my childhood. Metru Nui is the retroactive memory from 20 years ago. I cherish the scale, the extensive lore, and the pleasant cast making up the mechanical world. Ironically, looking back on the barren land with fondness in the time before time, the Matoran suspended animation can interpret as a peaceful apocalypse. Don't know if Protodermis can corrode metal. What would Metru Nui come under if Rahi and nature reclaimed it? This is a theory I would like to enact on the bicentennial anniversary for Web of Shadows.
Comparable to Nintendo's escapades, Bionicle wore many identities throughout its figure line, each year consecutively differing from the previous. A duality of figure and setting between the eras. You are hereby initiated into Rated Exploited. The first 5 years, 2001 through 2005, collectively inhabit Metru Nui and Metru Nui. But in retrospect, I accumulate the style according to LEGO's Technic system. Not only does 2006 introduce a new one, nicknamed the Bionicle build, it also became an entire facelift of reinvention, where Metru Nui adapts its tropical setting. Metru Nui goes for industrial theming, but Voya Nui goes all out in urban theming. From the new canisters into fully articulate figures. Take a Hortica figure, display it beside an Bionicle, 1 year apart, 2 different systems, 3 in total from LEGO. This diverged build, a new identity to Bionicle. For any doubting this face of LEGO, now, the question is that Bionicle? Retroactively, 2005 concludes the first book. The secondary chapters prioritize the Bionicle build with individual years themed around one element to encapsulate figure design and setting. In a diverting tangent, TV Tropes lists 2005 under seasonal rot. Definition: an installment in any long-running series that is widely held to be of notable horror quality than other installments, often tied to the dislike of a specific arc, that can also befall episodic shows. In some cases, a new director takes over and pulls the series in a different direction. This can give the impression of seasonal rot to those who liked the old way, but may also bring in new viewers who prefer it like it is. In other words, a change in taste or audience. In a nutshell, the lowest point of a series with drastically lower quality, although not a case of jumping the shark, which relies on a guaranteed point of no return. Stagnation is what I felt in 2005, but I didn't want a return to Metru Nui. I craved a new location with the characters I love. I wanted Jala to become a Toa, for Hali to have a great mask of sensory awareness, but that would require 6 prominent Matoran to be chosen as a new Toa team. I don't have a clue on how I guessed Hali's mass powers. Then again, I vehemently knew the Ouya would fail.
What could fail?
Greg Farshty knew it was a tacked-on addition and detests Vakama's out-of-character moment. However, It's an exemplary direction I've learned to appreciate. To exemplify, are you familiar with another trope known as third film curse? It is a trend dating to the earliest of sequel franchising. The consistency with film 3 apparently lower in quality. The prevalence so infectious, it's second nature to filmgoers. But allow me to make another comparison. I'm a fan of At World's End, and another third installment from the same year, Spider-Man 3. Let it be known, I love both these films for their strengths while acknowledging flaws. At World's End embraces mythology with a Hans Zimmer score he could have capped off his career with. What if I told you the sets of Black Pearl and Flying Dutchman are not CGI? As for Spider-Man 3 and Web of Shadows, there is a comparison here. By the way, there is also a Spider-Man game titled Web of Shadows. Peter Parker and Vakama narrate our movies through direct first-person view, detailing their story and struggle in moral conflict. Mask of Light and Legends of Metru Nui entwine Vakama's role by the fate built in Metru Nui's design. Peter Parker takes on crime and villain solely at the cost of profession, family, and love, powering through every challenge in arduous invincibility. Yet, both these films broke my false sense of invulnerability for superhero and Toa. By the end of Metru Nui and Spider-Man 2, I became reaffirmed that these protagonists are unstoppable, only for this sense of empowerment to break in varied but familiar fashion. Bionicle 3 breaks establishment by a deeper penetration than Hortica Venom. Rudaka's influence deteriorates Vakama into corruption, where Peter rejected Green Goblin with ease. Venom amplifies his internal desires. The nerd who wants to be hip and accepted. The grief and bereavement of family and chance for revenge. The years of public ridicule. The loathing of his own employer. Remedy in bottled up selflessness in betraying MJ's kiss. We witness Peter's repressed emotions surface, only to corrupt and betray his true self. The trailer encapsulates this theme perfectly. How long can one man fight the darkness before he finds it in himself? Venom becomes his undoing by using the one enemy to destroy Peter, himself. Rudaka becomes the seductress to break Vakama's loyalty. She amplifies the Hortica's venom by brainwashing empowerment, taking the voice of the trilogy and turning him against both his team and audience. Unrecognizable in bestial sense, devoid of the beloved brethren once heralded in Toa armor. As displayed by Norik in the comics, it's a manifestation, an infection and influence of Sidorak and Rudaka, standing as the prime example that even one of purity can fall victim. But I empathize these character shifts. The false sense of plot armor established in the first two films is broken, opening the vulnerability, once primarily internal. The aura of invincibility breaks, showing who that is super empowered is still a human. There is even a relevant theme from my #1 television show.
I guess the corrupt are the first to believe that somebody else can be corrupted. And it's not impossible. None of us are perfect. That's why we need protection, even from ourselves sometimes.
Elisa Maza comes to an epiphany after going undercover in Dracon's gang. She divulges that corruption can happen to any of us. The purest can fall to brainwashing. The humble remain vulnerable. This manifested internal villain brings hyper-focused relatability. Vakama and Peter are not indestructible. Now, concluding this dissection, my appreciation has deepened. 2005 caps the end of the first era. We didn't simply leave behind setting and protagonists. We proactively picked up from the current era for the first time in 2 years. We needed a revival, a refreshing setting, and a new character focus. I am forever thankful 2006 became our catalyst. Finding the Lightstone proves an arduous task amongst the darkness, but there is a skill Web of Shadows empowered from my first view, becoming analytically aware of benefits and detriments. 20 years later, I never would have guessed I'd compare Spider-Man 3 to Web of Shadows. As the lowest point of the franchise, it makes Voya Nui the dominant revival. I'm curious if LEGO felt the same sense of stagnation from behind the scenes. Harkening to this era yields few positives, the introduction of Bionicle playsets being a high point, even if Revenge of the Sith arguably had a better lineup. But I enjoy Web of Shadows far more in regards to the year. I'm aware of the fan following for Rudaka, and I admire the character. She is well written, intimidating, and her voice actress embodies the seductress. Same as Gali Nuva, by the way. Dang, how do I end the video? I made an analytical dive into a pair of unrelated films from a childhood without Zootopia to dominate the genre. I'm 29 minutes away from my shift, and YouTube is down without a confirmed remedy. 20 years later, LEGO capped off the first era, in slime green fashion like the worst of Pokemon shinies. To this day, I've never owned a Visorak figure. Oh man, is this the lowest point of LEGO's history? Do they wish it forgotten while acknowledging the failure of a toy line? Did it almost kill them with a fatal blow into bankruptcy? There are advantages to remember, high points to recall, conclusions to retroactively herald as the end of where 2001 kicked off. I have rectifying news, as the answer is no. Bionicle solidified its role and prevented LEGO's demise, preventing bankruptcy from poor business decisions, decaying relevance, and strong competition. The embodiment of seasonal rot could not keep Bionicle down. I should have perceived this recovery. Of course, Bionicle would thrive onward. The Toa proved their resilience 3 years earlier. LEGO clones and upgraded Toa paint 2002 in flying colors. But why does the LEGO Group recall it as painful?
2023 marks the time of redemption for a particular Pixar film, Elemental. September 13th marks its launch on Disney+. Just so happens to be the 20-year anniversary, the bicentennial, of the very first LEGO-based movie, Bionicle Mask of Light. You are hereby initiated into Rated Exploited. Only through word of mouth and advertising did the film redeem itself, doubling profit margins, becoming a most favorite amongst the Pixar films. September 13th marks its launch on Disney+. A story of friendship, a story of romance. Upon the reveal of Mask of Light, from a basic title card in a LEGO magazine, we had our assumptions. We felt it would pick up from the comic books, perhaps even a theatrical release. Expectation. The Toa Nuva prepare for the final battle with Makuta Tyrannosaurus, with the aid of discovering their seventh brethren, the Toa of Light. Reality. Story of two friends taking up the responsibility as herald for the seventh Toa. Through the virtues of unity, duty, and destiny, they reciprocate their roles, learning about identity. Elemental. Primarily advertising its forbidden romance genre, despite not being classified so. This is no different than the 2008 film WALL-E, which also neglects its own genre. The new film emphasizes that this is not a subplot, playing off what is stated in the trailer.
Elements cannot mix!
But instinctively, Wade and Ember form a meaningful bond. By spontaneous combustion, Ember bursts a pipe in the basement of her father's shop, bringing Wade into her life. The temptation, the attraction, begins altering their state of mind, their mood, and especially their personal perspective.
Pixar put a budding romance exceptionally translated into film. By first glance, one can assume it's Romeo and Juliet inspired, or for that matter, Pyramus and Thisbe. But as I brought up in Mask of Light, Elemental truly is about identity. By meeting Wade, Ember discovers a new outlook, a personal reflection, through the eyes of an individual who sees her for who she truly is. Friendship is the strongest bond outside that of family. Romance is a subgenre of friendship. Jala and Takua are brothers to the very definition. Wade and Ember begin as friends, as we can associate with any romance. But what they both have in common is reciprocation, their interaction, their responsibilities, understanding the duties set within their societies, holding true in their devotion to each other. So many fans jump on Bionicle or anything new LEGO brings out, just for the fact they are a fanatic to what has been brought before. When you know an established brand delivers quality on so many levels, you want to take part in everything they put out. That is exactly how I approached Elemental, and I've been a huge fan of Pixar ever since A Bug's Life. This year, I went on opening day, first showing of Elemental, bought my ticket ahead of time, ready for Pixar's newest endeavor. In the most basic definition, this is the Pixar approach on forbidden romance. Didn't know how it would play out, but that is the entire flavor of Pixar. You only get the basic idea and premise from their trailers, and from there, it's the only amount of motivation you need to take part in their newest film entry. What I received, a powerful story of romance, blossoming or igniting between two individuals of different cultures, race, and element. But I can't help but think how Jala and Hali have a strong romance between the two, literal fire and water, and this was long before they became Toa, 3 years to be exact. I would say Wade and Ember play out a similar type of romance, but no. This fiery ascension is a whole new level out of the hydrating depths. Even in established ideas, Pixar is a master of brightening with their own flair. Elemental is a personalized journey between two characters discovering the love they have for each other. Where the Turaga confronted in the past, the Toanuva descended into the present, where Takanuva lights the way into the future. The biological chronicle began with warriors descending to confront a virus. The comics follow these exact heroes in their quest. The film adaptation relegates their role into supporting characters, making a protagonist out of Jala and Takua, thus enacting the story of friendship we did not expect, one that we welcomed with open arms. I fully relate. At the time, my best friend was 8 and I was 10, but we had never bonded over a medium like this. We had a random assortment of activities, never planned the day out, never talking lore or even playing with the same toy, until Bionicle. That toy line brought he and I together, a perfect comparison to Jala and Takua within the movie. He and I began to appreciate LEGO on an entirely new level. We discussed theories, we discussed lore. By the surface of ingenious design, the two of us were lured in, dissecting the lore, appreciating every aspect of this incredible story. The savior of LEGO behind Kanohi helped us mature into the individuals we are. When researching for this video, I discovered a quote by Paulo Coelho. For the warrior of light, there is no such thing as an impossible love. He is not intimidated by silence, indifference, or rejection. He knows that, behind the mask of ice that people wear, there beats a heart of fire. Without love, he is nothing. A similar sensation to the infinite paradox. What came first, this quote or Mask of Light? As if the film and the quote cannot exist without each other. A strong reciprocation, comparable to the self-discovery Jala and Takua experience. I am taking this moment to break down the quote, word for word, sentence by sentence. For the Warrior of Light, there is no such thing as an impossible love. In fact, Takanuva is the Toa of Light, with a love for his brother, his home, his fellow Matoran, even Puku. He's not intimidated by silence, indifference, or rejection, going straight into the lair of Makuta, dark, dreary, and eerily tranquil. In the jungle paths of their journey, references that he's always different, ultimately facing off against Makuta in the climax. He knows that, behind the mask of ice people wear, there beats a heart of fire. Without love, he is nothing. Looking at Wade and Ember, they were truly incomplete before finding each other. Only through Wade's involvement did Ember realize she didn't want to run her father's shop. Vice versa, Wade felt worthless and a waste of life before meeting her. Wade and Ember revolutionizing their society with a new compatibility of elements, showing their love endures against all odds, against all criticism. A film of friendship and a film of romance both share the theme of a new generation, accepting the torch, taking on the future. A chronicle of brethren and a journey of love. 20 official years after the release of Mask of Light, LEGO's first film adaptation, a Pixar film landing amongst my most favorite in the genre. I take these videos 1 week at a time. I knew I'd be celebrating the bicentennial of Mask of Light, but when I found out Disney Plus would launch Elemental on the same day, the opportunity came to light.
And a great adventure will come to light.
There, I began contemplating the bond each film shares, how it intertwines with the worlds the characters inhabit. I knew it was time to make a ridiculous yet relevant comparison. If I can take one word to describe my own mentality, it's balderdash, which is a synonym for nonsense. The same mentality, the cognition that allows me to make a ridiculous comparison between two very different IPs, one American, the other Danish. Let this video be a dual-wielding celebration. Welcome Elemental to the top-tier roster of Pixar films, joining the ranks of the best in the romance genre. Congratulations, Mask of Light, on your bicentennial birthday, proving the world wrong, accurately depicting a story, a chronicle of unrivaled magnitude. Thank you, Tedic fanatics, for partaking in this dual-jointed endeavor. I am Rokalai. I upload right here on Rated Exploited every Saturday evening. We are now 7 away from 500 subscribers. With the approaching milestone, I'm at a loss of how I should celebrate this point of endeavor. Should I do a face reveal? What is the right route I should take in this celebration? Regardless, I will be here, ready to update, ready to upload the newest of Bionicle.
Thank you for joining this Rated Exploited endeavor.
This is the way of the Bionicle.